When your husband pulls out, "I was just kidding, relax," it's not just infuriating, it actually reveals a pattern that is breaking down connection in your marriage. And after working with couples for years, I have seen how deeply that this erodes women's trust and their emotional safety. But there is a way to transform these moments, and it does not require your husband to watch this video. I have got you. I am Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. Let's dive in. And I just really want to paint a picture here that might sound really familiar. You're rushing around, you're getting the house ready for family to come over. The mental load of everything that needs to be done is totally overwhelming. The toilet still needs to be clean. There's stuff all over the living room, and you've got one eye on the stove while you're just like, go, go, go. Meanwhile, your husband, he's chilling on the couch, scrolling on his phone. You're literally running around, and he looks up and says, geez, you could just chill. Everything doesn't always have to be perfect. You always get all crazy before family comes over. Your jaw gets tense and your cheeks get hot. You probably let out the sigh that I just did, and you tell him, that doesn't feel good. You've been working really hard to get things ready. And then he hits you with, I was just kidding. Why do you always have to take things so seriously? Now, you're dealing with hurt on top of hurt. And I know what tends to happen next. Maybe you shut down completely, giving him the cold shoulder, and then you're just short with each other for the whole time your family's over again. Or maybe you get angry because this is the 100th time that he's done this, that he says he's just kidding, but you know it's not a joke. You know that he's also kind of serious. You try to tell him it's not a joke because it's not funny, but he just doubles down like you're making a big deal out of things. You probably then end up just sweeping it under the rug because clearly talking about it just ends up in an argument and gets you nowhere. He's never been like, you're right, that wasn't okay, I'm so sorry, just like you would want him to. But every time you do end up burying it, it just makes you feel less connected to him, and it drives a wedge between both of you. It hurts and it's painful, and it is so frustrating that you feel like you can't even express your feelings. The good news, and there is good news, is that there is a way to express your heart so that he actually hears you, which is so important for you because when your feelings get minimized like this, it can feel like you're the problem just for having feelings. You might hear your husband say things like, you're too sensitive, you're overreacting, it's not a big deal. And then you're left feeling like you're too much or not enough, or like he's just a jerk and you're questioning how many more times you can possibly hear these words. Here is what I need for you to know. Your feelings are so valid. When you tell him your feelings and that didn't feel okay, whatever it is, that is so valid. And like I always say to my clients, it is only a joke if you both find it funny. When you tell him that his comment hurt you or it wasn't okay, you're not overreacting. You're responding. And if you do end up jumping into defensiveness or criticism, then you're reacting. Let's talk about your husband's reaction when he immediately tells you to relax because he was just kidding, because you need to know what's going on here before you can respond in a way that brings connection and makes it more likely that you'll be heard. So I will be sharing that. When he says, relax, I'm just kidding, this response can be seen as a defensive response. When you tell him your feelings are hurt, his nervous system likely starts to get dysregulated. Even just a little bit. Our nervous systems are constantly looking out for threats to protect us, to keep us safe. Your nervous system needs to be just on alert so that you can go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, whatever you need to stay alive. His nervous system doesn't know the difference between a bear just walking into the living room or you telling him that your feelings are hurt. It just kicks into protection mode right away, doing what it does best. One way that we can try to protect ourselves is to get defensive. So one example of this, just imagine when your husband was little, he took a toy from his brother, or he threw a baseball and it hit the car, and his dad confronted him and he took accountability. And then his dad punished him. He yelled at him. He criticized him. He grounded him. He told him he was bad, that he was selfish. That would be so painful. So then what happens is subconsciously, our little selves, our sweet little brilliant selves, learn to do whatever it takes to stay away from that pain. So maybe your husband, as a little boy, he started to deflect and defend. So next time it happens, he says, it wasn't me who took the toy. He deflects it onto his sister. And then he doesn't get in trouble. Subconsciously, he learns deflecting responsibility keeps me safe. It keeps me away from pain. It keeps me connected to my dad. Connection and safety with our caregivers is like the deepest human need as a child. And it is brilliant that kids find a way to maintain that however they can. And this is just one example of a billion things that could happen to create this pattern. And then these patterns become well-worn, like freaking well-worn. We do them over and over and over since childhood. And then in adulthood, with his wife, he is still subconsciously running this pattern, but it no longer does the job that it used to. It actually brings disconnection. Knowing what's underneath, relax, it's just a joke, it doesn't make it okay. It just allows you to get into your heart and into his and see that there's so much more than meets the eye. There's so much under the surface. If we stay stuck in the surface stuff, we can't change things. We could also see his comments as avoidance. Again, subconsciously, maybe he's avoiding the discomfort of conflict or talking about feelings. This too is a learned response, and the nervous system is at play here as well. He may also have had the experience with you that when he does take accountability, it doesn't go well. He feels beaten down, criticized, so he's trying to avoid those things subconsciously by deflecting, avoiding. There are so many potential layers here. I can't even possibly begin to cover them all. It's absolutely impossible. But just to know that there's so much under the surface. So when he deflects, he minimizes, he avoids, he says it's just a joke, it's not about you being too much or too sensitive. It's his nervous system reacting and using a well-worn protective strategy. It's a strategy that hurts you both. It can feel hopeless to be on the receiving end of this. Like, how can I change this if he doesn't just stop? The good news is you actually can empower yourself to change the dance, even if he has no idea what's underneath his reaction, and you don't need to know either. So first, allow yourself to really drop into his heart right now and imagine your husband as a sweet little boy who just wants to feel safe and loved. This does not mean that your husband had to have had a terrible childhood. The truth is that we all get wounds. We all learn unhealthy strategies to get our beautiful, valid needs met as children, even in happy childhoods. So allowing your heart to just see him. Then, in the moment when it's actually happening, when he says, relax, it's just a joke, it is the perfect opportunity to pause. And you might be quick to jump into your own patterns because bless all of us, it's what we do. If you can pause, take a few deep belly breaths, you're already changing the pattern. Long exhales, extra long exhales, they actually relax your nervous system. And then you can choose to respond versus react. Often, what we want to do is go into why our feelings are valid. And it's actually more powerful in this moment to speak to what might be going on for him, even if it's hard. When he says, relax, it's just a joke, if you say, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, I'm not mad at you, I love you, and I just want you to know that your comment about me needing to just chill and that I get all crazy, that didn't feel good. Now, you might hear me say that and you might be like, screw that. I'm not going to be kind and loving when he is being rude. And I totally get that. I am not saying this is easy. And the reality is, if you don't change something, nothing will change. Nothing has changed so far. So this is your opportunity to lean in. And when you're saying to him, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, I'm not mad at you and I love you, you're speaking straight to that old wound, whatever it is. You're speaking to his needs. Imagine little boy him when he tells his dad that he hit the car with the baseball. And imagine his dad says to him, I know you didn't mean to hit the car. I'm not mad at you. I love you. I just want you to not play by the car anymore. And we're going to go out and look at the car together, but I'm not mad. That little boy could feel that relief. He would know that it's okay not to get it right all the time, that he's still loved even when he does something that he shouldn't have. That is what you get to do for the little boy inside your husband because he's still in there. Just like you have a million little yous inside of you just longing for love and these beautiful moments that they may not have had. And if you're not familiar with inner child work, this might sound a little out there. And it's evidence-based. It is well researched that our childhood wounds and trauma, they stay inside of us and they shape our adult behavior. And we can do so much healing around these wounds and for the little us's inside of us. And I am not suggesting that you say, I know your little boy needs some love right now, because that probably wouldn't be helpful or go over well. But if you lead with, I know you didn't mean to hurt me, I'm not mad at you, and I love you, you are speaking to that little boy. And both things can be true. You can feel hurt and still express that you love your partner. This is a healthy communication practice. In this response to him, you're also speaking about his behavior, what he said. You're not putting him down as a person. This helps create a safer space too. Just this one little brief thing that was 1 or 2 sentences, that can help his nervous system start to relax, to feel safety, so he can put down his defenses like, oh, I don't have to protect myself. I'm actually okay. She still loves me. So instead of doubling down on that it was just a joke or you're overreacting, he might take a deep breath too, because he feels loved even if he screwed up. You might even hear him say, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, or I do get it. Or, sorry, anything. Something that is different than what you would normally hear, something that isn't invalidating. And if he doesn't respond in a healthy way because patterns are well worn, you get to choose to respond again. Because it could be so easy for you to then react and be like, never mind, I knew you were such a jerk, something like that. And then nothing has changed. You're in the same old dance. So another deep breath or 3 might be required. I love you, and I would love for you to hear that that didn't feel good or that I'm not okay with that. And it is so helpful, so helpful to paint the dream of what you would love to hear. It sets you up and your partner and your relationship up for success. So if you say, when I tell you that I don't like something, when I say, ouch, I would love to hear you say, sorry, that wasn't okay. And I am so happy to accept that and move on. It just gives them that safety. And consistency here is so key when it comes to this and changing any pattern, because it is super common to try something once, and if it doesn't go well, assume that that means that things will never change. But these patterns, they took a long time to form, like a long time, and they can take a long time to change too. They change with consistency, and there's often little changes that you can see along the way. When you take the initiative to respond with empathy and understanding, you actually create the conditions in your relationship for your partner to open up and engage more effectively too in the ways that you would love. It sets the tone for your relationship, a relationship where you can both feel heard and validated. Change doesn't happen overnight, for real. Eventually, outside of the triggered moments, you might down the road start having conversations about what is underneath the wounds and underneath the triggers of you and him, and figure out exactly what you both need to hear in those moments. You can talk about how to create safety for each other when one of you feels hurt. You can eventually share what went on for you when they said, just relax, I'm just kidding, all of those things. And they will hear you. Doesn't it sound amazing to have those kinds of conversations? And if you're hearing that and you're like, it sounds amazing, but it also sounds completely impossible, that's absolutely what I used to think too. I would tell my therapist we'll never be able to have deep conversations about our feelings and past wounds, and I want it so bad. And now my partner and I regularly talk about what goes on underneath conflict and tense moments in our relationship. We know each other's wounds, we know what unmet needs come along with them, and we stay curious to learn more about ourselves and about each other. It's what I always used to dream of. And it happened because I had support in making changes just like this shift that I'm sharing with you today. How to respond when he says that. Making these changes, oh my gosh. I got a relationship coach that helped me stay consistent in my efforts, because it is challenging to stay consistent, especially when sometimes you aren't seeing positive results and then sometimes you are. Once I had that coach and I saw what was possible when I dove in, it was the motivation that I needed to keep going and stay consistent. And then my partner joined me on the growth train, mind-blowingly, after only 3 weeks of me working with my coach. So know that as you're making these shifts, it's going to take some time, and you're not going to be able to stop and breathe and respond instead of react every time. You've got your own patterns too, and he's not going to respond in the perfect way every time either, even if you are speaking to his heart and sharing your feelings. You're never going to get this perfect, and that is not the goal. Things not going well, old patterns showing up, that's going to happen, and it's actually supposed to happen. It's part of the process. And huge, remember, your feelings are so valid. You choosing a different approach is really setting you up to be heard and allowing you to get into his heart too. It is loving with intention. Ding, ding, ding. I know that you would love for him to be the one changing the dance, and it often takes one person diving in first. You are the one who is here right now, so I am sending you so much love on this journey, the journey that I've been on too. And as always, none of my content is for abusive or unsafe relationships, and everything I shared is nuanced, and I can't possibly cover every angle, and it's not one size fits all. Take what feels useful and supportive, leave the rest behind. And if you are tired of feeling hurt, not feeling heard, and wanting to make real change, I've got so many videos here to support you on your journey, and I do have availability for private coaching with my Love Journey process. The women who dive in start hearing apologies, start seeing their husbands show interest in their interests, they start feeling validated in their feelings. It is life-changing. You can reach out at Lindsay at lovingwithintentioncoach.com. It's in the description box to see if it is the perfect fit for you if you're truly ready to dive in. Your intentional action for the week is to drop into your heart, take some deep breaths just now, and just get curious about what might be underneath his minimizing reactions. It is such a great place to start. You have got this. In the video on the screen, I shared the 4 things that I wish I knew before we broke up. These are the very things that I dove into when we got back together They completely changed our relationship. So I hope it is so helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. I am sending so much love into your day. Remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have a super intentional week.